theyeshiva.net.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome, Baruchim Abayim. Big mazel tov to Rabbi Avram for the big simcha. Binyan Adayad, a lot of nachas, gesundheit, freiligkeit. And everybody from all your children and grandchildren with the phones off. We're on page Yud Beis, 4 lines from the bottom. So the key line is Moshe is completely shaken by the fact that the good days become such terrible days. If you don't want to send me to redeem the Jews, don't send me. But you send me, and there's so much hope in the air, there's so much goodwill in the air, there's so much faith in the air, and there's so much inspiration, and the Jewish people at last feel that somebody is listening to them, that their cry has been heeded, that the Rebbeinu Shalom sent somebody with the message, Pakoit, Pakadati, I remember you, and things are about to be transformed forever. They're going to be emancipated and liberated, and what happens? And Terach, the exact opposite. Not only don't things get better, they get only worse and worse and worse. And as he said earlier, both on a physical level and on a spiritual level. Physically, the burden of labor, the excruciating agony is intensified. And spiritually, Paroi speaks about Moshe and the one who sent him in a way that he never spoke. He calls it a complete sheker, a complete lie. So what Hashem tells Moshe is, Tasira. Now you're going to see. It's not just, okay, from now on it will be good. That doesn't answer the question. From now on it will be good. My question was, why, when you send me to redeem them, does it become worse? You'll say, well, now it's going to be good. So this was an error? Tasira means only now you will see. And the key quote, the key line here is that now that the godliness in the world has become completely transformed, that the Asara Ma'amaris are eclipsed completely. The last vestige of revelation of the divine utterances that vivify and give life to creation are now completely eclipsed to a point that this can be happening in reality. There can be a paroi behaving this way, to the point that he can deny completely the mitzias, the reality of godliness. Zelecha ha'ois, this is a sign. If the 10 utterances, if the Asara Ma'amaris went into hiding, went into hibernation, went into complete concealment, what does it mean? It means that the Aseres HaDibris now started to be revealed. It means that a new light now has been revealed. Because we always remember that rule, that principle, that transformative principle in life, that when one door closes, it's only because another one started to open. And the other one is completely on a different level, that it can only open when the first closes. The first shiur of the teacher is the shiur of Asara Ma'amaris. That's the shiur that continues for 2,500 years. That's the first lecture. The first lecture. And when that closes up, when that's gone, when that disappears, what is it? It's always because there's a new light that emerged, that's starting to emerge. The new light that's starting to be revealed, that's the light of Aseres HaDibros. So literally after 2,500 years, there's the new light. And the old one, therefore, is in a state of histalkus, of ascent. So Tasira, now you're going to see. Ad sheyuklatu, 4 lines from the bottom, you raise. Ad sheyuklatu b'daz da'atzilus u'b'zayin midas. Until ultimately, this new revelation, which comes from what we called moichin da'atik, a completely different paradigm and level of awareness and reality, will ultimately be revealed until it will be absorbed. And absorbed always means in das. in Das, first in Das of Atzilus, and then ultimately in the Zayin Midas, the 7 emotions following it. V'hine, Ata yizgalu lemata bibri yitzir asiya ba'ofen shekol haklipis ye'avdu v'yevutlu b'yad chazak yishalch. The fact that the Asara Mamoris are eclipsed means that their Aseres Hadibris already started to be revealed, but not yet to the student. Where were they revealed? So to speak, to the teacher. And that's why he says they were revealed and absorbed where? In Das of Atzilus, in the Zayin Midas of Atzilus, which represents the divine reality. Over there, there's a whole new revelation that emerged. And now, it could ultimately come to the student as well, which means here in the Nimshal, in the worlds of Bria and Yitzira and Asiya, to the point that all the klipos, all the shells, all the husks, all the toxic forces will be nullified, ubiyad chazaki yishalchem, with a strong arm he will send them out from Egypt. Va'achar kach, afterwards, bi'er loy befrat, Hashem explains to Moshe specifically, V'masha kosev, when he continues the beginning of Va'era, Vayidaber Elokim al Moshe, Vayomer elav ani Hashem, Shema shelefi das Moshe hu din kasha. Moshe thought that this galus is a din kasha. It's a harsh judgment. He said, She'enoi kain, you're misunderstanding me. Vayomer, what he says is, Ani Havaya, Ani Hashem, Shehu Amir Raka. Vayomer versus Vayidaber. Vayidaber represents stern words. Amira Vayomer is called Amira Raka, the Chazal says, soft words. V'inyan tachlis hachasadim. So the chesed here is on a dual level. Vayomer is chesed, and Yud Kevavke is chesed. So Moshe says, I looked in the whole Bereshis and I see that there's a process of din, and I want to understand what is the din, what is the judgment of Galus Mitzrayim, what is it coming for, what is the sin that precedes it. I don't see anything. So he says, Vayidaber Elokim el Moshe. Moshe thought he's talking to Elokim. Vayomer elav. He said, let me reintroduce myself. You have to get to know me. I am not here. Elokim, Ani Hashem. What you're speaking to is Yud Kevavke. You thought you're getting communication and contact with Elokim, which is the midah of din. Vayomer elav. First of all, he changes from Vayidaber to Vayomer in the same verse. Vayidaber is stern, Vayomer is soft. And the name changes, Ani Hashem. This is all pure love. This is all tachlis hachasadim. This is all absolute connection and intimacy. Kisibas hagolus, the reason of golus. You're identifying this process as one of sin and punishment, which is midas hadin. You're defining your life as sin and punishment and consequences, which is all the midas hadin. I want you to understand another dimension. Ani Hashem. I want you to understand who I am. The real reason of Galus is mitzad. It's not that the student sinned and this teacher wants to run away from him and wants to punish him. No. The teacher wants to give him the newest insight, the deepest insight. Mitzad sha'avos higiu l'tachlis shleimusa. The avos worked, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, etc., and they reached their ultimate ripeness, their ultimate spiritual perfection. At shekaras Hashem es abrisim Avraham, until the point that Hashem made a covenant with Avraham, which represented the ultimate in Avraham Avinu's life, where there's a pure covenant. And what happens by that covenant? He speaks about Galus. And that's the Pella of Galus Mitzrayim. When does God introduce Galus? In the greatest moment of intimacy with Avraham Avinu. It's like, imagine under the chuppah, or you propose to your bride, and that's when you say, you're going to be exiled for 400 years, and I'm not going to, really, this is the time. Usually you speak about running away in a difficult time, not in the time when you're so close. When does he talk to Avram about Galus? At the Bris Bein Absarim. That was the question at the beginning of the Maimer. Something is warfare. When he makes a covenant with him forever, this greatest love, this greatest friendship, and by the way, you should know that you're going to exile. Wow, that's great. So there's something, and doesn't say because your children sin. Yodei at the Bris Bein Absarim, at the end of Parshas Lech Lecha, when they make an eternal covenant, a covenant for a life, for a relationship throughout history, that's going to last forever, including the gift of Eretz Yisrael and so forth. That's when he says, no, Yadoya Teda, Kigei years, Aracha, Be'eretz, Loylahem, Vavodim, Ve'inu, Oisam, Arba, Me'eshanav, Achrechein, Yetzer, B'Rechush, Gadol, we say it in the Haggadah on Pesach, that your descendants are going to be foreigners and strangers in a land that doesn't belong to them, which is the prophecy, the promise, the prediction of Galus Mitzrayim. He says, at that moment, Avram Avinu reached his crescendo, his spiritual crescendo. What happens when the previous idea has reached its full completion? The Soif Maisa, the idea has reached its full completion. The Shir has reached its full completion. The Rav prepared it and it became ripe and fermented within the teacher on a general level, on a specific level, Yud and Hey, and then Vav and Hey, and it ultimately entered the student Soif Maisa. Now its ripeness allows for a whole new level of awareness. And for that, the old one departs and the new one emerges, as explained at length. At this moment, when Avram Avinu reached the Shleimus, his perfection of Bris Ben Absarim, this aroused, it triggered, it brought to the fore a whole new awareness. Moichin Chadashim Nailim is a whole new mind, a whole new level, a whole new paradigm, Shawin in Matan Torah. That's what Matan Torah represents. Not Asara Mamoris, but Asaras Hadibris. The reason why the old Moichin, the previous Moichin departed, is because new Moichin started to develop. Just like again by the Mashal. It doesn't start the other way. It's not the teacher detaches. And when he detaches, he has to do something. So now he gets a new insight. The other way around. Because there's a new insight that beacons. It beacons to him. It calls out. It was triggered. It was Nisayr. So unless he loses it, unless he wants to lose it, he has to distance himself from the old paradigm. He has to distance himself from the Shir more and more and more until he becomes mesmerized and transfixed by the new awareness. The student yet doesn't have anything. All the student has at this moment is distance, absence, what may feel like betrayal and very deep darkness. What's really happening on a deeper level is a new light came into the world, and the new light causes the old light to be able to be eclipsed, because a new light is now ready to emerge, and a new light can't emerge in the old structure, which is a very narrow structure. A new space is needed, a new realm is needed, a new reality is needed, and that's exactly what the histalkus, the departure of the old, means. That's what he's saying. The reason the previous moichin departed is because there was a hisayrus, an arousal of a new reality, a new reality. And that's the key, that when a person experiences that state of uncertainty, that state of confusion, that state of darkness where I thought I was holding on to something so stable and so powerful, and as we called it before, Piske de Chayusa, and this line of life gets interrupted and cut off, and at this moment there's nothing new. It's like, I don't have the old, I don't have anything new. But a new light just came in. A new light was just born. A completely different level, different awareness, which the old awareness could only interfere. Could only interfere into that. Could only interfere with that. And the departure happens deeper and deeper. As he says, you go up and more up and more up. Back to our mashal. In the beginning, the teacher will still continue winging it externally. His thoughts and words are still with the student, even though the passion is gone, at least somewhat. But then the histalkus goes yet to a higher level, meaning the departure is more drastic as he ascends even more, because the new awareness is ripening, it's fermenting, it needs to settle, it needs to get a hold, it needs to become internalized to the point that he just grows silent. And now the detachment seems absolute, complete. Umemela nasa bebri yitzir asiya miyot chiyus alaki b'miyot achamiyot. What is this in the nimshal? That in the world's bri yitzir asiya, which is the mashal for the student, in mystical language, Atzilus is the teacher, Bri Yitzir Asiyah is the student. And there is this constant communication. So what does the mashal look like playing out in reality? That the chiyus alaki, the presence of the divine energy in the physical worlds, what happens? It's diminished. Miyut acha miyut. Diminishment after diminishment. It's diminished more and deeper and stronger. Just like that student in the beginning, he's still hearing a message. It's not with the same passion. Later, he starts hearing a little bit of a confused message because the new idea is mixing into the words as we explain. And then at some point, he hears nothing. There's no gesture even. It's just complete, a blank face. A blank face. That's the moment of the greatest closeness on a deep level. But from an external level, it's a moment of tremendous distance because there's just a blank face. Hello, you're not here anymore. You're not here. Why are you not here? Why are you not here? You're not here because of your closeness, because you want to give me everything, because you want to share the whole truth with me. But you went to this new place and the old is now interrupted. And that tremendous pleasure that he had, the student had, is not present anymore. That's the miyut achamiyut. V'lazeh, and therefore, this is intense. Seder HaGolos, this brings us to that big question of the order of Golos. A person is in prison for 30 years. With the longer the sentence, what happens? The easier, the beginning, it's maximum security. The longer it gets easier. The last 6 months, halfway house. Yeah, like a semi-freedom a little bit. That's the system. You know, you pay up the mortgage. You got to pay it down at some point. If it's always getting high, you got to pay a mortgage for 2,000 years. What's it going to look like? This is what it looks like. You're saying, okay, we sinned so bad we have to be exiled. Okay. So it's been years. It's always getting easier spiritually, easier physically. And you see, in the Galus, it's the exact opposite. Moshe says, this is not how Midas Hadin works. There's something off here. There's something strange. There's something strange. The punishment paradigm just doesn't work. It doesn't justify Jewish history. It mamish doesn't justify Jewish history. Reb Leibel says not at all. Smaskim with Moshe Rabbeinu. Very good, I like. Huh? Yeah. So what is this? V'lazeh seder hagolus ukein shenischazik b'chol yom begashmis u'beruchnis. The galus get stronger every day, physically and spiritually. There's 2 levels of galus. There's a material exile. There's material pain, material suffering, and then there's a spiritual galus. There's no less painful for those who are sensitive to spirituality. Ad shaha'istalkus shehisibas hagilui poil sha'or chadosh hanal yizgala legamri ba'atzilus kanal oz nasa bibri yitzir asiyah psikas hachayis ke'ein lama toikef ha'hester v'tigboris ha'klippah. But we go back to the mashal now. In the mashal, the more the teacher gets the new idea, what does it look like for the student? The more the absence, the more the departure. In the beginning, when the revelation of the new idea is just nebulous and ambiguous, what we call the chachma, that first week we spoke about, that first week, he's still winging it. There's still communication. Somebody who doesn't understand the subtleties and the intimacy won't even notice a difference. You know, unless you really know somebody, you don't always know the difference if they're winging it or they're not. Lahavdil, that's not really so applicable to this, but it just reminds me. Lahavdil, a big Lahavdil, that Pavarotti was a very big opera singer. And so I read once an article and he said, it was an interesting line. He said, if I prepared for the opera 1 week, the audience knows it. The audience knows it. It's not the same level. If I prepared for the opera only a month before, the audience won't know it. But the critics will know it. The critics will know. But if I prepared, only 2 months, not 3 months, he says, the critics won't know it, but I will know it. Epa says, I don't think I got the timeline straight. He'll be me Michael. Huh? In other words, if I prepare, but not enough, not long enough, so then ultimately only I will know it. But the point is that there's some levels that nobody knows, right? Unless you really, really know. Unless you really, really know. Because, the guy, he's a professional. He also said, on the other extreme, which I guess that's where the lahavdil comes in, that when I do a miserable job and I fail, I cry all the way till the bank, till I deposit a check. Right? That's the difference between a real Rav and not a real Rav. Well, if it's for the check or not. But what's the point? The point we're bringing out here is that in the beginning, somebody doesn't know the subtleties, everything looks the same. The teacher knows, the student knows is a little different. But that's only because the awareness started to come in, it popped in. But the more the revelation is taking root, the bina is already more departure. And the das, there's full histalkus. So when we say the student that it's getting worse by the minute, that's true. But you can also reverse it and say it's getting better by the minute. It's getting worse by the minute. He was talking to me. Then he started to make with his hands. Then he started to confuse his words. But at least he was talking. He was answering questions. And now there's nothing left.
It's not getting better at all. It's getting better in the mind of...
Right. On a level of pnimius. On what's happening behind the surface. But what the teacher is absorbing now will one day he's absorbing it for the student. But from the experience of the student, he's left dry. So every histalkos that grows deeper is because the gilui became more and more. And because the revelation of the new became more and more. So that comes hand in hand with the old stock becoming diminished and becoming eclipsed more and more. It's always commensurate, one with the other. That's what he says. That the histalkos, which is the reason for the gilui. The reason for the gilui is because there's a histalkos, so there could be a gilui. When it causes the new light to be completely revealed in Atzilus, back to the mashal, that the teacher masters it fully, what happens? All communication is interrupted. So in the Oasis of Chassidus, when Atzilus gets the new gilui, what happens in Biyah, in Bri Yitzir Asiyah? Cold turkey. Psikas achayas. Toikef ahester. The worst concealment. V'tigboris haklippe. The strongest clip. Avol zehu simen. Yeah. At this point, the intensity of the light is blinding. Avol zehu simen. This is only a sign. Shamoichin hachadashim. Haniglim b'mekayram. Yizgalu lamata. This only means that there's a new level of moichin that has been revealed already in the source. And now it could come down. Now it could be revealed down here. Since it's already been revealed in the source by the teacher, it can come down, but it's ayidei hachanas hamakabel. Now the student has to prepare himself for the new idea. Just like he had to prepare himself from the old. We spoke about the two preparations of the student. That's where he prepares himself. He sees the face of the teacher. He could see that there's a glow. But how do I absorb it as a student? Now I have to prepare myself. What's this? Kamashakasuv vayitzaku b'nei Yisrael. This is the idea that Jewish people screamed. They screamed. What was the scream? The scream was, I don't want to be here anymore. Vayitzaku. That's like the clay reikam, the empty vessel that we spoke about. There's a word from the Gerer Rebbe, I think it's the Chidush Harim or the Sfas Emes. Hashem says in the beginning of Va'era, this parsha, when he speaks to Moshe, V'hoitzeisi eschem mitachas sivlois Mitzrayim. I will take you out from the sivlois of Mitzrayim. What's sivlois? So the way it's usually translated is from the burdens of Egypt. He explains sivlois actually very literal. The word sevel in Hebrew means to suffer, but more specifically, it means to tolerate. Like savlanut. Savlanut is what? Yeah, don't use it when you go to Israel, don't use it. Don't use this word. You don't tell your taxi driver, savlanut, because whatever, the relationship is going to end and there won't be a new moichen coming in afterwards. He'll just throw you out of the car, so be careful. They can be very intense over there. You know, somebody once said, Israel is a great country, it's just in a pretty bad neighborhood. So if it would be in a better neighborhood, they would be a little calmer, but unfortunately it's not in such a good neighborhood. Savlanut means patience, tolerate. Lisbol, you say, what's lisbol? Zay soivel. What's zay soivel? Hold on, tolerate. So he says, V'hoitzeisi eschem etachas sivlos Mitzrayim. I'm going to liberate you from being soivel Mitzrayim. I'm going to take you away from tolerating Egypt. The greatest obstacle for Geula is that you make peace with Golus. When you make peace with Golus, Golus becomes a substitute for Geula. Now there's a real Golus. If I'm in Golus and I'm screaming, I'm already halfway out of Golus. The Baal Shem Tov said, "B'makom shemachshavte shaladam shamu nimtza." Or another version, "B'makom sheritzoyne shaladam shamu nimtza." Where you want to be, that's where you are. Where your thoughts are, that's where you are. Sounds like a nice word. It's not a nice word, it's a very true word. You're much more present where you want to be than where you are. Listen to what I'm telling you. Where you want to be, that's where you're more present than where you are. Because that's where you want to be. You tell me, but I'm not there. I'm here. But that's what the Baal Shem Tov teaches. Where you want to be, that's where you are. Huh? No, because you want to be there. Because you want to be there. Because your desire is there. The moment I make peace with exile, that was the real Golus. So it says to Yeschem, you have to liberate people from being soivel Mitzrayim. As long as, you'll forgive me again, as long as you make peace with your addiction, you remain an addict. As long as you make peace with abuse, you remain abused. As long as you make peace with toxicity, you remain in toxicity. I want you shouldn't be soivel Mitzrayim anymore. You should say, not another minute, I'm not going to live this way. I cannot live in this bubble. I can't live in these lies. I can't live in this pain. I can't live in this insanity. I can't live in this craziness. I can't. I don't have patience. Huh? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You vomit, and then you could vomit the gullus. As long as you vomit the gullus. And that means your system is healthy, not it's unhealthy. The vomiting is the healthiest thing. It means that when you're eating horrible poison, your body doesn't make peace with it. It's like, I can't tolerate this. I can't be tzayvel. It's because you're healthy, not because you're sick. It doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. It's much nicer, you know. You know the Monsey, right? The Tsar takes out the 3 Jews to the firing squad, and their eyes are covered, and then they're about to, pull the trigger, the soldiers, and the ankle starts screaming and hollering. You're a bunch of Russian chaletes, mamzei. Well, I'm not going to use the words they use in Russia for these types of people, but you get the point. They have better words than the English, than the Brits. Very rich, yeah, especially in this realm. So Yankel starts cursing them out and the Tsar, and they say, Yankel. Don't make trouble now. Don't make trouble now. So that's the tragedy of Sivlois Mitzrayim. What is this spiritually in a person's life? The life is, I have to be ready for the new awareness. I have to have a yearning. I have to have a tshuka. If I'm, somebody once said, most people live lives of quiet desperation. Most people live lives of quiet desperation. If you're going to be desperation, you can live in desperation. It's called Sivlois Mitzrayim. Vayitzakol b'nei Yisrael means I scream, I want, I yearn. What is that in the student? If you're smug, there's no clay rekon. The smugness means I am where I am, I'm good, I'm perfect. Clay rekon means I empty myself out because I know there's something more, I'm looking for it. And then the second step is where you tune into every word. That's the vayitzaku, that's the hachanas hamakabel. For us, you want to say it, Shlomo? Huh? Zog. Okay. For us, it's in the mind of the teacher still. For us, is galu gam lamata bebri yitzir asiya k'may lamayla batzilus b'tois v'zgilayerin soifat sheyichnu aklippus v'yovdu legamre. Once this happens, it was revealed in Atzilus. What happens in Biyah? Cut. The lifeline is cut. Psikas achayis. Toikef Hester. The Hester is now the worst. Tikberus Aklipa. This is a siman that there was a tremendous gilui that came into the world. And ultimately it's going to come into the student too. But he now has to prepare himself. He has to open himself up to this place. And then it could be revealed down here like it is up there by the student, like by the teacher, to the point that the clippers, the shells, the husk, the toxic forces of Egypt will be lost. Now, sometimes the student could see, as we spoke, that there's a certain glow on the teacher. He doesn't have it yet. He doesn't know yet. But there's a certain solace. There's a certain oir. It's going to be good. I don't know how. I don't know what. I don't know when. That's what we call the Shiva de Nechemta. The Nehiru de Anpin. Yeah. That's the first process after the concealment. Teacher got the idea, so at least he's happy. Somebody's happy. There's a glow, and that gives the student a tremendous chizuk, a tremendous chiyus. But that's already the beginning of the process of ultimate absorption. And therefore now it behooves us to explain Hayisrin shebemoichen de matan teire. Shenisayde bebris ben absarim v'nigla lamata lachi yitzias mitzrayim. Neged kiyam ha-teire de ha'avas. Oy bazoi, we now have to explain what's this new idea? What's this new idea? What happens by Matan Torah, which was triggered by Bris Ben Absarim? Now look, from Bris Ben Absarim till Matan Torah is hundreds of years. Because Avram Avinu has Bris Ben Absarim. Huh? Approximately. It's mamish almost a half a millennium. But the Hisoirus happened by Bris Ben Absarim, because that's when Hashem speaks about Golus. Why are you speaking about Golus now? Because Avram's perfection, it's all the perfection of Avram that triggered Golus, not the imperfection. Golus is not because the student is so bad. It's because he's so good. If the student was bad, then yeah, even the first year you're not interested in. There's nobody to talk to. If there's somebody to talk to, and the Soif Maisa reaches the Soif Maisa, the Machshava reaches the Soif Maisa, it went in. Now a whole new reality emerges. So at Bris Ben Absarim, a whole new reality emerges. Gullus is mentioned. Why is Gullus mentioned? Who's speaking about Gullus? Because there was already a glimmer of Matan Torah. There was already a glimmer of a new light. So what's mentioned right away? What's mentioned right away is that the old is starting to depart. It reached its intensity in Mitzrayim, and in Mitzrayim itself, more and more and more and more, until it reached a crescendo where Moshe is screaming, what's going on? If Moshe is screaming, if Moshe says, where are you? Where are you? Ayeka. Right? Eicha. The Medrash says Eicha and Ayeka is the same word. Moshe is screaming, Ayeka, where are you? He doesn't actually use that word. I'm just using it. God uses that word on Adam by the first Galus. But Moshe is saying this, where are you? Ooh, Moshe says Ayeka. Ooh, Ata. If by Moshe it's all concealed, if Moshe says what's going on, Ata. Now is the time of the Gilui. Ata Tira, now you're going to see. So one has to, now it behooves us to explain, what is this new awareness that was triggered by Bris Ben Absar? And it was revealed only after Yetzias Mitzrayim. Neged Kiyam HaTorah the Ha'avos. When even the Avos had Torah, Kamay Shamar Razal, the Gemara says, Kiyam Avram Avinu Olav Shalom is Kol HaKorah Torah Kula Achalei Nitna. Avram observed the whole Torah before it was given. So you're telling me Aseres HaDibros was some type of new Moichin Da'atika versus what the Avos had. They also had Torah. The Gemara says in Yuma Daf Chav Chesed at the end of the Kiddushin that the patriarchs observed the whole Torah before it was given. So what are you telling Moshe? It's not Midas Hadin, it's not Elikim. This is Chesed. Ani Hashem, you don't know me. This is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. It's all about my intimacy with you, my closeness with you, my connection with you. I want you should have everything. Moshe says, what's this everything? What's this new reality that we're looking for? That's here comes the next pasuk. What's the next pasuk? Valzen nemar ve'eirel ha'avos bekel shin daled yud bekel shadai u'shmi havaya loinoi daiti lehem. I appeared to the Avos with the name Shin Daled Yud, but the name Yud Kei Vav Kei I never gave them. I never became known to them in this name. Hine Kel Shadai Hu Makir Hagvul. The name Shin Daled Yud is the source of finiteness. K'may Mirazal, the Gemara says, Meseches Chagiga Yud Beis. In the beginning of creation, the universe was expanding. Nimtach literally means when you stretch something, like your rubber band. The universe was expanding. Nimtach. It was like being pulled, stretched. Ad bli dai. And it would have gone on and on and on and on and on and on. Acha omar lo oilamai dai. Until God said, Genog, enough, stop. Or at least slow down. This is Chagiga Daf Yud Beis, written how many years ago? 1800 years ago, right? 1800 years ago. That the universe expanded, and it would have gone in such a speed, infinite. It wouldn't have stopped. And God said, die. Calm down, guys, relax. As you would say, chill, huh? Yeah. How many years ago did we find out this information in science? 1960s. 50 years ago. This is 1800 years ago. Nimtach, who spoke about an expanding universe. And that's how it started. It started with this crazy expansion that was like infinite. And Hashem said, die. Which name represents this? Shaddai. Shin Daled Yud. What's Shin Daled Yud? Shaddai. The God who says, enough. Stop. Learn how to contain yourself, guys. I know you want to expand infinitely, but there's going to be nothing left of this world. Shaddai. Die. Right, we have the pasuk, Vayrikosi lachem bracha ad bli dai. Ad sheyivlu sifsei seichem eloim ad dai. Your lips are going to become, swollen or decayed from saying, die, enough. They say in Yiddish, "Zos haben so viel Geld, zos nicht wissen, was zu tun mit dem." That's my bracha to you. That means after you pay tuition. So what's this Shaddai? Shaddai, enough. Shehu inyan kayach hamagbil shelo yiyu ha'olam is b'bchinas ein sof. It's not just on a physical level. It shouldn't expand to the point that it's not a recognizable universe. As always, it represents a spiritual truth. Shin Daled Yud is the kayach hamagbil. It's the divine power of limitation that the world should not be in a state of infinity. V'zehu b'koyach ha'ilui l'mayla adin ketz. This means it shouldn't go up infinitely. It shouldn't become infinite. There's also the opposite interpretation. It shouldn't go down infinitely. Meaning, Pirush, the universe spreading too much would mean the world and all the creation would be so brute, it would go down infinitely, not just up infinitely. Imagine a world where the ultimate spirituality would be brute physicality. Brute physicality would be the ultimate spirituality. That was possible. It's like today when we want to speak about spiritual energy or a malach. A doimim, how much does a rock perceive a spirituality? Or tzemeach, a tree, or chay, or an animal? What does a horse, or a buffalo, or a cat, or a snake, what level of awareness do they have? What level of, they have consciousness. They're functioning, they're aware of things. They know very well where to look for the food, they know danger, etc. They know space, light, smell, much better than people. What's their perception about, what do they know of the Big Bang? Maybe more than us. What do they know of molecular structure? What do they know of the atom? What do they know of DNA? What do they know of spiritual energy? Quantum mechanics, what do they know? So he says, imagine what the malach, what spirituality is relative to Doimim Tzemeh Chaim Medaber. It could have been that the ultimate ruchnius would be the physical brute reality. That would have been the highest level of awareness. We can't imagine this. What do you mean? How? Why? Because God said die, so we can't imagine this. Later, the Lihizgasha. He didn't let the world expand to a point upwards where it would become infinite, or downward where its level of bruteness would be the lowest possible that we can't even imagine, where the highest level of spirituality would be, what would be the highest level of spirituality we would be capable of understanding? Brute physicality.
How did they figure it out 50 years
ago? What remained in the potential of the Ein Sof, we cannot fathom with the levels of intellect that were given to us. In other words, our intellectual faculties allow us to perceive what is. All of the potentials, what could have been, mitzad the Ein Sof, we can't really illustrate in our mind. It remains much more speculative, much more abstract. So what would the world look like if there was no Shaddai? In both ways. L'mayla den ketz, it's being pulled upwards, the world becomes infinite, part of divine infinity. What would reality feel like? What if I felt infinite and you felt infinite? And that means we're all part of that infinity. Right? If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear as is, infinite. Or the other way. Our world is a low world, but it's the lowest world that has hope of sublimation, of elevation. The other way would have been, as he puts it, that the hakshama, the physicality would be so powerful that the highest level of ruchnius would be the daimim agashmi. The brute physical matter, that would be the highest level of spiritual awareness. The physical structure of everything, that would be the end game. That would be the highest level of spiritual awareness. Because the world would stretch. More geshem, until everything is, that becomes the highest level of awareness.
No, it's not talking about bad leaders or anything else. God is getting formed in the bush. There's no spiritual awareness.
Nothing.
I mean, to understand the molecular structure of particles and everything else, actually could bring us back to the idealistic reality.
You have to be open to it. Yeah, ask an ant, what's the level of awareness of an ant? It also bumps into things. A gnat knows the difference. This is a rock, this is a boulder, and this is my colony where I live, right? But its relationship to it is based on the Geshem, where there's a lot of awareness, but that's it. There was a video going around a few days ago, a beer in Wesley Hills, right? So there was a huge fence, okay? Now imagine on that fence you wrote, "My dear beer, no trespassing. This is my personal property. Please don't come in." What would that sign mean to a beer? What does it mean?
There's probably honey on the other side.
In other words, the language doesn't mean anything. Yeah, you'll put up a sign to horses or dogs. "Sorry, this is personal property." That's not called a boundary. For an ethical person, it's stronger than any other boundary. Because what is a sign not to come in? It's personal property. But for the animal, you didn't tell me anything. If you put up a good gate or a good wall, now you're speaking. That's the. They say there was a fellow, he came to the bank at 4 o'clock. It's closed. He runs to the teller. "I have to take out cash. It's emergency." So the lady there says, "I'm sorry, the computers are down. I can't do it anymore." He starts hollering, "I'm a customer here for 30 years. I'm going to close down the bank. I'm going to close all my accounts. I'm going to sue you." She says, "I'm so sorry. I apologize. But the computers are down. I simply can't." He's hollering. She starts crying. She gets emotional. He's screaming, "You don't know what you're doing. You're a miserable worker. This is a crazy bank. You get me the money." Anyway, in desperation, she says, "Listen, I can't help you. Let me call the boss, the manager." The manager says, "What do you want?" He says, "I want my money. It's my money. I want my money." And he starts screaming, "It's a crazy bank." The guy gives him a punch in the face. He falls down. He says, "Listen, it's 4 o'clock. The bank is closed. Now you get out of here." And he gets up and he walks out. So the lady comes running after him and says, "I don't understand. When I told this to you, you were screaming and hollering. He said exactly the same words. The bank is closed. Leave. Why did you just leave?" So he says, "Well, she said it. You said it, but he explained it." So there's different levels of awareness that a person relates to. Yeah. If there wouldn't be Shin Daled Yud, Sha'am Aloi Lamoi Dai, so the universe would stretch to a point of lowliness that what? That we wouldn't be able to perceive anything more than the Gashmi of the Doimim. The Gashmi of the Doimim means the lifeless physical reality. That would be real. That would be the high point of reality. That's it. Imagine that's the high point of reality. Oh, this I feel, this exists. That's it. That's reality. That's without Shin Daled Yud. So Shin Daled Yud is the Koyach HaGvul on both levels. It shouldn't go infinite and it shouldn't become too finite. It should live in the border between infinity and finiteness. Or basically that we should all be confused about what the world is. That border between, is the world infinite, is the world finite? Does the world make sense or it doesn't make sense? On one level it makes sense, on one level it makes no sense, you know? Looking for that string theory. That's the Shin Daled Yud. Ushmi Havaya loinoi daiti lahem. I did not give them Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. Shin Daled Yud, yes, but not Shem. Va'era Lavram Yitzchak Bekel Shadai. Hagam shekosov etzilav is vayera lav Havaya. It says vayera lav Hashem. How can he say I never revealed Yud Kei Vav Kei? It says by Avram vayera lav Hashem. V'chein mikroyos rabim. Many psukim la Havaya hanira. Avram built a mizbeach la Hashem hanira love. That's Yud Kei Vav Kei. Hurak b'chinas Shem Havaya de l'sata. All the appearances of Yud Kei Vav Kei is called the lower Shem Havaya, meaning shenikra Havaya al Shem Shemahava shul makar la'olamus. The word Yud Kei Vav Kei, Yahava, is he brings the worlds into existence. Mahava, he makes things be. That's Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's a source for the creation. Aval b'chinas Havaya de la'ela. But a deeper state, a higher state of Havaya, Shalzen Nemru Shmi Havaya Le'nei Dati. On this it says, my name Havaya, Shmi Havaya, my name. Commercial Kosav Ani Havaya Hu Shmi. The pasuk in Yeshaya Memches says, I am Havaya, that's my name. Shomerumim Menusim Aliyas Makar LaMakar Lo'elamis. It's completely exalted beyond being a source, even for us as a source for the world. Le'nei Dati Lahem. This has not been known to them. So what they know is Shin Daled Yud. The koyach hamagbil, the power to make it finite. Even Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, called the lower Shem Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei that represents bringing the worlds into existence. Yahweh, he brings the worlds into existence. But there's another Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. That's Shem Havaya de La'ela, another Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. That's Lo Noidati. That's Yud-Kei Vav-Kei that's beyond even being a source for a source of the worlds. That Lo Noidati Lahem. What? This needs explanation. What is this? What is this Lo Noidati? This Yud-Kei Vav-Kei that I did not share with them. So this will be now the continuation of the Maimer. What is the Chiddush of the new Moichin of Matan Torah, Aseres HaDibros, L'gabe da Aseret Ma'amaros? Or in other words, the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, the La'ela, the higher Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, L'gabe the name Shin Daled Yud.
Can you explain this?
Tomorrow there's no Shir. We're going to resume Monday, Bli Neder. Be'ezer Hashem.
Can you explain this Sindal Yud concept in the language of Tzimtzum?
Yeah. Yeah, you could. Shaddai. No. Crunch.
It's the same concept of we needed Tzimtzum, and therefore you couldn't go beyond. You can't go to infinite because then you lose the revelation of the Rebbe which he was able to give you in the realm of...
Well, the concept of Shin Daled Yud is Sha'ama Lo'elamai Dai, that the world, so to speak, should remain more compact. If it would spread thin, so two things can happen. Either you go upwards or you go downward. Downward means that it, so to speak, it goes further down, until it can't get any lower, in the sense that the highest level of awareness would just be physical bruteness, nothing else. But it could have been the other way as well.
Because now there's less godliness. Why is that?
In other words, the Shaddai, the limitation, operates on two different dimensions. One is not to go too high, and one is not to go too low.
The spirituality is getting diluted? Is that where...
Not to get too close and not to get too far. To retain its identity. If it gets too close, meaning if it expands upwards, it loses the properties of the world. Just like physically, if the Big Bang wouldn't stop, if the expansion would go in the same speed, everything would dissolve into nothingness. Downward is the opposite. Not to become so distant that it's detached. You know, you stretch and you stretch and you stretch, right? So either at some point it comes back to me, or the whole thing leaves. It's become so distant, it becomes so detached, it becomes cut off. It becomes completely remote. Die. Don't expand so much to the point that you become infinitely distant. Infinitely distant means that there's absolutely no connection anymore.
Because you're getting so...
You become so remote. Yeah, in other words, you become so remote. There's no awareness of anything. You know, in the letters of a Sefer Torah, right? The letters are not allowed to touch each other. Each one has to have its own space. But if they're too far apart, you can't see it's part of one word anymore. There's no connection anymore. You know, marriage, yeah? Too close, people are choking each other. You're not allowed to leave the house, or you're not allowed to have your own life. You're not allowed to go for a coffee. You need distance, you need boundaries. But if the distance is, okay, so you move to Hawaii, I'll move to China, you know, great boundaries, but there's no connection. So that's distance. It's very good, boundaries. But the boundaries are that there's no relationship anymore. There's like walls and walls and walls and walls and walls. So that's the Shaddai. Shaddai is, you know, you're expanding. What does it mean you're expanding? Which way are you growing? So one way is, so to speak, spiritually growing upwards to the point that you'll dissolve into infinity. So the boundaries will be blurred. So there's no world anymore. There's just infinity. And then there's the other way around. You go downward, meaning you detach more and more. I pull away. You know, God could pull towards him, so to speak, until the other side snaps and it just gets absorbed in him. Or imagine we're pulling from this way. And you pull until You snap it out of him, so to speak, and then you're just completely self-contained, and there's no link. There's no link anymore. There's no interface. You understand? That's the chiddush of Shaddai. Shin Daled Yud is the name that said die.
It's like Hashem said die, that it's not expanding anymore. How do they figure it out? It's an expansion.
No, it's still, today we know that it's still, it seems like it's still expanding, at least that's the theory, but the expansion is very, yeah. It's reached a pace that's very sustainable. But the way they described the Big Bang was an explosion that was so powerful, and that started the expansion, and those few milliseconds after the Big Bang was enormous. But then if that would have continued, then there couldn't be a universe.
Sometimes it will say all sufficient.
Right.
The aspect of Hashem that he sustains the entire.
Well, here he says, Sha'amar lo lamai die. He said to the world, die.
But I'm asking, is that another level of this name, or is it a misconception?
No, that he told the world, die. Enough.
So, but I'm asking, I thought you meant also that it's the aspect of Hashem that sustains the entire.
I don't know. That I don't know. Darf Masbe sein jetzt, was ist der neue Meuchen von Matan Teure? Nein. Der Pasuk sagt, Ve'eda al Avram al Yitzchak al Yaakov, Bekeil Shin Daled Yud, Ushmi Hashem lo nedaiti lahem. Ist zu verstehen, was ist der Chiddush von Matan Teure? Legabe, der Gilui von der Matan Teure zu der Avos, was zu lieb dem man gedacht haben in der Galus. Darf man Masbe sein, was ist der Chiddush von Shem Havaya, Legabe Shin Daled Yud. Verstehst? Man darf verstehen, was ist der neue Gilui, wo der Rav will geben der Talmud. Das ist eine neue Sache, ja? Sagt, es hat Dippes Gabi, es hat Mamoras. Bei der Office doch ich gewinnt Matten Teure, doch ich gelernt Teure. Was ist der neue Gilui? Man sagt doch, der Rav wird eine Stalik, was ist das ein neuer Schrier? Was ist der neue Schrier, schon gewinnt Teure? Is was sagt der Eberste zu Moshe? Weil Daber Elokim al Moshe, weil Emel Ani Hashem. Was ist Ani Hashem? Ani Hashem mit dem Pshat, als der Golus ist nicht Midas Hadin, es ist Midas HaChesed. Aber was ist das Midas HaChesed? Weil ich will geben an neue Gilui. Was ist der neue Gilui? Ve'eda al Avram el Yitzchak vel Yaakov bekeil Shin Daled Yud. Ushmi Havaya loy noidati lahem. Verstehst? Ich gewinne Kelshin Daled Yud. Ushmi Hashem loy noidati lahem. Yud Kivavkim sind nicht gehad. Avada. Golus Mitzrayim ist der Mocker von allen Golusen. Ist Bishas, Kedei zu kommen von Shin Daled Yud zu Shem Havaya, darf man durchgehen Golus. Verstehst? Ah? Ja? Das ist das Wort. Zu kommen von Shaddai, von Shakai, von Shin Daled Yud zu Havaya, darf man durchgehen Golus. Durchgehen Golus. The Golus is the bridge from Shin Daled Yud to Shem Havaya. From Shin Daled Yud to Yud Kei Vav Kei, Golus is the bridge. The Histalkus of the old, so there can be the Gilui of the new. Because there's a Gilui of the new, there has to be a Histalkus of the old. The Gilui causes the Histalkus. A new energy was starting to be planted in the world, so it creates the Histalkus of the old. Verstehst? Das ist der Hemshech von der Psukim. I don't have an answer for the length of Golus. That I don't know. Much bigger and greater didn't know. I certainly don't know the answer.
When you're comfortable in the old earth, people live in a big mansion and say, Mashiach's coming.
You're right.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.